Hello, my favorite English language learners. It is your favorite English teacher here, Amy Joy, and in today's video, I'm going to teach you how to format a paper in MLA format using Google Docs. And before we get into the formatting, I do want to highlight how widespread and common Google Docs is in the US. We use it for everything, mainly because it automatically saves your work and you don't have to worry about losing any unfinished work. And also it is very easy for collaborators or group members of your group project to edit and leave comments. So we are all very familiar with Google Docs. And if you're not from the US or a culture that uses this software, but now you're studying in the US, it's really important that you become familiar with it. So this will be a great introduction to some of the smaller features and also how to become familiar with MLA. So let's get started. Now, when we are talking about formatting in MLA, we are talking about three things. First, the page setup and the spacing. Second, the heading and the information that needs to go at the top of the paper. And third, fonts, the sizes, the colors, etc. So first, we are going to talk about the page setup. And MLA requires that we use 1-inch margins, and margins are just the space between the edge of the document and the text. So we want this to be 1 inch. So in order to do that, we are going to go to File and then Page Setup. And I believe the default is 1/2 inch, but we want to make everything 1 inch. So top, bottom, left, and right, all 1 inch. Click OK, and now your margins are set. And the next thing that we want to do is fix the spacing. So we want everything to be double spaced. So what we're going to do is select all. You can do Command A or Control A depending on your computer, and then go to the menu where it says line and paragraph spacing, and then click double. And there you have some double spacing. Perfect. And the last thing for the page setup that we want to do is possibly insert some page numbers. So according to MLA, they want the page numbers to be in the top header on the right-hand side. So in order to do that, we're going to go to Insert, and then we will click Page Numbers. And we have some options here. We have like the bottom right or the top with kind of like a title page. For this, we're just going to click the top right, and you can do it like this. I've often seen where you have to put your last name first before the page, and that is okay too. And then if your instructor requires that you have a different first page, or maybe no page number on the first page, you can click this and it will go away, but it will remain on the second page. So that is how you can insert page numbers, and that is the MLA formatting, the last name and the page number. So after that, let's move on to our heading. So here I've given you a sample, Who and Martin in parentheses. So for MLA, we will mention our first name first, or the name that you are called, followed by your last or family name. I know this gets confusing in languages where the family name and the name you are called are flipped, but in English, this is how the order will go. And then for me, since I work with a lot of Chinese international students, they often have chosen an English or Western name, and I ask them to please put their preferred name in parentheses so that I can kind of keep everything straight. If you have a legal name and then a preferred name, the legal name is in our system and we can't really change that. So we might call you by your preferred name, but then it still stays your original name in the system, and it gets really confusing. So if I just have both there, it's really, really helpful. So in the first line, you've got your first name, last name, and your preferred name. Then you will put the name of your professor or your TA. And then after that, you're going to put your course that you have them with. I teach a course called Linguistics 3C. And this is not MLA, but something I like to have my students do is tell me the time that they have me. So maybe 12 to 1:50 p.m. just so I know what section they're in. I often teach different sections at different times, so this really helps me kind of keep everything straight. And then lastly, the date. And this is typically how we write the date in English with the month, day, and year, but MLA actually asks us to do the day, then the month, then the year. And it's super confusing, but that is how MLA requires us to do it. So we're just going to follow that. And then as you can see, moving on, the last part of our header is the title. And my student here has kind of written title, but you actually don't need to write that. You can just delete that, keep your title, and make sure that you center it. Now, one thing about the title is that we need to capitalize all important words. So we have New Chinese Parenting Philosophy, and I'm going to capitalize all of those words. Just a note, we don't usually capitalize smaller words like conjunctions like and or but, or prepositions like on or at, unless they are our first or last in the title. So the rule of thumb, or the general rule, is to capitalize all words longer than 4 letters and make sure you capitalize the first and last word. And if you do that, you should be fine. Now, moving into the body of the paper, make sure that you indent or move in each paragraph. And you can do this by clicking here and then clicking the tab button. This will indent your paragraphs and just make it easier for your teachers to see where your paragraphs start and end. And then also MLA wants us to put our font in Times New Roman. So the default in Google Docs is Arial, but we are going to change it to Times New Roman. And it also should be in a 12-point font. So making sure that we change our font there. And the last thing, speaking of fonts, make sure that all of your fonts are the same color. Sometimes I see stuff like this, where my student has copied and pasted maybe an article title or a quote from something on the internet, and then they just leave the font settings from that website. And then the font is a different font, a different color, and it has like a completely different background. And you can just tell that it came from a different source. So make sure at the very end of all of your writing, when you're about to submit your paper, just do a quick Control A, make everything black, make sure everything is 12-point font, Times New Roman, so that it all matches. As a reader, as a grader, it's super easy for me to tell when something is 11-point font, or the margins are off, or the font's a different color. And it's kind of a pet peeve, kind of annoying, just because it's so easy to fix and it feels a little bit lazy. So just be aware that you don't do that and that everything is consistent and looks the same. All right, well, there's also so much more to say about citing in MLA and how to format your works cited page. And if you're curious about that, you can click the links below and see my video on citing in MLA for some more information on that. But in terms of formatting your paper, this is all you need to know to get started. So good luck, happy writing, and I will see you next time. Bye.